Hi, it's Chris here, back again with Steph Walker from the agency. Steph, you said to me before we switched the cameras on that you believed self-employed estate agency was best for the client. Of course you're going to say that. You run a self-employed estate agency model. Talk to me.
I think there is no doubt when you read our reviews, other models' reviews, because there's a lot of noise in this space right now. As we know, there's some brilliant models out there. Look at what the client writes. It's personal, one person from start to finish, dedicated, bespoke. It's becoming rather an overused word now, but still, we get what it means. That's what every single review mentions, that person that's with you on that very sometimes arduous journey from start to finish, you know, with a marriage counsellor and everything else in between.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
100%, absolutely. And to know that you've got that one person there that's truly dedicated to getting the job done, the job being you moving home, not just sticking a facade board outside, I think is really, really important. And look, I think if we're all honest, am I saying that high street estate agents are bad? Absolutely not. I was one for many, many years, and I am so proud to be able to call myself an estate agent.
Well, you've done it all. You've been independent with a family business, corporate with Countrywide, online with the PBs.
I'd like to say,
I think
I've got a fairly good basis to say that. But do I remember, so I was always a listing branch manager at Countrywide. I was never allowed a lister. And did it piss me off if I said X, Y, and Z is going to happen to the person that I sat in the living room with, and then my negs didn't follow that up? Absolutely. I had an amazing team of negs, but could I promise what I said was going to be delivered would be delivered to the letter? Well, not if I didn't do it. And so, look, if it's a simple sale, not having that one dedicated point of contact could be okay, right? Because somebody will read the notes on the system and hopefully all will be well. But why should somebody entrust their most valuable asset on the basis that we hope it's going to be a simple sale when we know that in actual fact, it's very rarely that it is?
Do you think, putting aside self-employed estate agency for just 1 second, you know, the splitting up of the job between the negotiator and the valuer, which took place late 70s, early 80s, do you think that that was the end or the start of a good estate agency?
Yeah, I think, look, we all understand why those splits started to take place.
Money, it saves money.
Correct, absolutely. And this goes down to the fact that, again, the structure of a estate agency is wrong. Regardless of how you run a business, conventionally, with offices, without them, I don't really
Employed or self-employed, irrelevant.
Absolutely, rat's ass, do not care. But if you've got one person dedicated to the journey with those clients from start to finish, you mitigate the chance of lots of things going wrong because it's the one person, the communication is on point, they're truly invested in the journey.
But that surely would cost bosses more money.
But this is the problem. And this is the problem with the structure. So let's think about why things cost money. Having locations cost lots of money. Are they required? No. Because if a viewer wants to view a house, they want you to answer the damn telephone. They don't need to come in and talk to you about it. If they're going to talk to you, talk at their house. Talk at the house they want to buy. Be out on location, be out understanding what's happening in the community.
So do you think that estate agents could save money by removing themselves from the high street, possibly having like an industrial unit?
Yeah.
For a third or a quarter of the fee of the rent?
Absolutely. And yeah, you know, you said the word fee there. That is obviously the other massive issue. Because what we've done is we have reduced what we can charge as a main across the country. We've hung on to very expensive things that make absolutely no difference to the end result of the client moving home. And so we've then had to bring in lots and lots of people to kind of make that journey then happen. And that means lots of people have very unflexible working hours, don't get paid an awful lot. And therefore, it repeats that cycle because there's no way you can justify raising your fee if that's your shitty service.
And you believe self-employed estate agency is one of the answers to that? And fundamentally, the core is if you have one person from start to finish taking full responsibility, the service is better for the client. And I'm assuming that you could probably charge more as well.
100%, absolutely. You know, charge that little bit more, give that dedicated service. Because you're charging more, your volume is less. The minute you stop building your business on volume, service is going to slip. And that's just the way it is. But guess what else also slips? Enjoyment of the job.
Happiness.
You know, generally, I loved my time at Purplebricks. And again, I'd listed pretty much throughout all my career. But in the first 10 days from training, I listed 17 houses. And I had to deal with that all myself. Now, the thrill was amazing, right? Because I'd never earned £200 for each property, plus then a viewing package and yada, yada, yada. So the pounds per effort was up.
Did it get a bit boring?
Yeah, 100%. Because what it took away from is being able to do business with the people you want to do business with. And that's, for me, one of the other beauties of self-employed or, let's say, non-conventional number-chasing businesses. So, you know, we actually had we have an optional group call that people can join on a Friday, and it was one of the topics we talked about. It's a Simon Sinek thing, right? In that you don't have to do business with everybody. You do business with people that get what you do. But when you're a numbers-based business, you have to do business with as many as people as possible. But the beauty of agency is when you'd sit with that customer and you really gelled with them and you knew this was going to be fun. And even on the toughest days, you knew that they got you, you got them, and you were going to get through it. I'm sure we can all remember when we worked in let's say a Countrywide or similar, you'd be chasing that listing bonus at the end of the month and you would just take that listing. You would just take that listing on, probably a little bit overpriced because you couldn't really work with that seller, because some people won't see your reasoning, but that's because you don't gel as people. It's not because you're doing a bad job, I believe, in delivering the correct pricing structure. But guess what the fallout of that is? You take on a seller that you're not gelled with, they're overpriced. When it comes to having that painful reduction conversation in 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to be pissed off with you.
Or because you had to hit a number.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time today.